We're off to the National Botanic Garden of Wales today. First time I've ever been there. Harry's been there many, many years ago. I'm actually wearing a dress because I wanted to look tidy. Harry's parents are coming here for the day, and they'll be coming here, and then we'll be driving to the National Botanic Garden of Wales, which isn't very far away as the crow flies. Oh, they're here. It's not very far away as the crow flies, but it's quite a convoluted route because a bit of the road is closed. Anyway, we're really looking forward to it. I'll be filming without commentary on my camera, and hopefully have a nice day out. We were a bit alarmed when we arrived and we were told that a child had gone missing. There might be police everywhere, but thankfully I think he must have been found because we didn't see any sign of the police anywhere. So almost immediately we encountered this beautiful display of embroidered flowers. They were actually made by a group of volunteers called Stitching Botanical, which was set up in 2014. There's actually 80 volunteers involved in this. These are absolutely incredible. Considering how parched and yellow most of the grasses around Carmarthenshire, we were quite surprised how green and lush this area looked. There was a nice fountain in case anyone needed to cool down. We didn't take advantage of that. And then we sort of went for a little wander. This is actually quite interesting. I think the same volunteer group made it. It's all flowers. This was another really lovely lush area with some pretty wildflowers. I had considered trying to look up some of the names for the video, but honestly I can't say some of the Latin words anyway. This is a member of the radish family apparently. It's got massive sort of spiky things on the stem, so I wouldn't like to be trying to pick any. I don't think it's suitable for a pie. And then we went into a lovely walled garden. This was absolutely beautiful, and they were growing quite a lot of vegetables actually. There were tomatoes and some herbs and different types of vegetables. Did anybody notice my deliberate mistake then? It's obviously a member of the rhubarb family, not the radish family. So these were some beautiful vines that were grown over an arch. It was really pretty. It looks like people have been picking them though, to be fair. So we carried on walking around this very pretty forest garden, vegetable garden, I'm not sure what it was called, but it was really, really pretty. There is actually a little honesty shop, but there was actually nothing for sale when we were there. Oh, there you are, it's called Forest Garden. I'm not sure why it was called Forest Garden. So off we went through an arch. I think at this point we may have been looking for some food. That's Harry and his dad. And that is the dome that we later went in. That was amazing. I think we're just looking around the gardens here. Aren't these flowers gorgeous? I do love anything like this. I just love walking amongst greenery and leaves and flowers and trees. I think that's probably becoming apparent from a lot of my videos. I'm never happier really than when I'm outside. I don't particularly like being in the house. So we've just gone inside the tropical house now. That's the one I just pointed out actually. It wasn't the great greenhouse. Look, we're just wandering around looking at these plants. This is actually the part of most places I like best. This actually reminded me a lot of the butterfly house at Zoomarine in the Algarve. I kept looking out for some really large butterflies, but sadly there weren't any. I think they should add some butterflies to this place. It would be perfect. Look at the beautiful, beautiful flowers. Not flowers, plants though. Those leaves, aren't they lush? Everything's so big as well in these tropical greenhouse things. I watch a vlog actually, and she refers to everything as a thing, and I noticed it and swore I wouldn't do that, and I am doing it now. So we're just wandering around. It's all very slow and relaxed, and as you can see there were no other people in here at all when we came in. All those beautiful leaves and flowers. Just a lovely, lovely, peaceful place to be. Well, as I can't tell the difference between a radish and rhubarb, there wasn't a lot of hope for me with these. Any ideas what they are? Harry's mother had to actually explain to me that they're artichokes in flower. I'd never ever have guessed. I thought artichokes grew on the ground, but no. This was a really pretty little section full of different types of dahlias, all the different colours, some spiky ones, some round ones, loads and loads of colour here. I'd love to have all these colours in my new garden. I'm going to have to plan really carefully because it's not a big garden and I don't want to spoil the view across the estuary. Look at all the colours here. I think these have been well watered. And then everybody's favourite, giant sized sunflowers. Look at the size of these against the men in the background. They were towering above my head. They must have been about, 8, 9, 10 feet tall. And they obviously have enjoyed this summer with all the sunshine because they were looking great. And who remembers having sunflower growing competitions with their siblings when they were kids? We used to love doing things like that. And we'd have one sunflower each. And I think we were quite lucky if it got to our heads. But these were magnificent. Such fun as well. There's something about a sunflower, I think, that just makes people smile. I'm not sure why. Apart from this poor little one who was dying. Poor thing. Look at these beautiful flowers on some sort of shrub. They look like purpley pink dandelions, don't they? They're absolutely so pretty. And when I touched them, they were so soft and gorgeous. Anyway, by now we were all getting a bit hungry, so I think we were heading off for food at this point. Yes, there's a lot of purposeful walking going on here now. That's actually the area where they sell food in the distance, and that's the Grand Greenhouse, I think it's called, which is dome-shaped, as you can see. We'll be going in there after lunch. But first of all, I think everybody needed something to eat. Oh, this was interesting. There were swallows nesting at the top. I thought that was a bardic chair, but apparently not. And I didn't get any pictures of the swallows, but I did try. But they just weren't playing ball. They're hidden up there, making a noise, but not coming down. Despite our rumbling tummies, we couldn't resist a little look around the apothecary's hall. It's in a stone barn. It's actually a recreation of an Edwardian pharmacy when many medicines were made from plants and herbal extracts. Look at all those little drawers. Incredible. I've never heard of most of them, I have to admit. There's tinctures, syrups and powders. There's mortars and balances used to make pills and ointments and potions. There's even an original prescription book written in Latin. We were all fascinated, actually. We were in there for quite a while, just looking around. I can remember using dock leaves when we were stung as children. The old aunties in the country used to swear by them. I don't know whether they worked or not. So you can see all the different pots and other cupboards. It's fascinating, isn't it? Well, the forceps shocked us. The baby's forceps. They were huge. So yeah, we had a really good look around here. We tried to ignore our rumbling tummies for a little while. Once again, these are actually done by the Stitchin Botanical Group again, but it's a display of all the plants traditionally used to treat illnesses in Wales. See, the detail is just incredible, and I think you can see the 3D element when I'm taking the photos. See, just the detail and the care that's gone into creating these is just amazing, isn't it? I love places like this, I really do. I mean, it's not cheap to get in. I think it was about $16.50 each, something like that. But it's a good day out, and it's really beautiful. And finally, the food is coming. We were starving by this point. This bronze bust is Alfred Russel Wallace, an us-born naturalist who was a contemporary of Charles Darwin. In fact, it was Wallace's own work on evolution by natural selection which prompted Charles Darwin to publish On the Origin of Species in 1859. This garden's named in his honour. I didn't notice at the time, but the curving pathways reflect the shape of the DNA double helix. Sadly, as the day was progressing, it started to turn a bit sour, as Harry likes to say. So we decided to head into the Great Glass House. As you can see, it's quite impressive from the outside. You can also see how grey the sky was. Anyway, we're inside here. There's 6 different areas of the world, and I can't remember them all, but I think one's Chile and one is the Mediterranean. It was warm inside, but I don't know, it is impressive. I can't deny it's impressive, but it sort of reminded me a bit of wandering around in Portugal. A lot of the vegetation was incredibly similar to things we see in Portugal. This is the big waterfall, but they've turned it off. Now, I don't know whether that's because of the drought conditions or whether it's just because it was so quiet and they didn't, want to be running the waterfall. But as you can see, it's a vast feature in the middle of the glass house. It's a bit of a shame, really, when it's just not operating. We went down and walked at the bottom of it. Here we are now crossing. So you can see there's sort of pools and things. But it would have been a lot more impressive if there was water running. Again, there were very few people around. It was really strange. It's strange to be somewhere so vast and to have the place almost entirely to yourself. I mean, it is pretty, it's really nice. But having just lived in Portugal for 8 years, there was a definite feeling that some of these plants look familiar. They're all sort of plants that live in climates where it's dry, I think. So you can see all the different walkways. I mean, the actual roof is, the dome part is absolutely spectacular. I was very, very impressed with that. It's very much like the one at Bluestone, which I visited in June with my daughters and grandchildren. There are some beautiful plants in here. I don't know whether it was because I liked the lush glass house so much that I felt this was a little bit of a disappointment in comparison. As you can see, there's very few flowers. Maybe August is the wrong time of year for things to be flowering. Everything felt a little bit closed. I can see a few flowers there. Yeah, there are a few flowers, but not a lot. There wasn't a lot of colour in here. It was mostly green and rocks. Harry's father wanted an ice cream, so he was getting a bit impatient, I think. There were no shops open in here. There you are, some more flowers. Oh, I love that because I do love really nice pieces of wood, really nice tree trunks. I was having a little browse there. I mean, it was lovely, and you can see how vast that ceiling is. That is impressive. It's impossible not to be impressed with that. I love a good piece of engineering. I'm almost as obsessed with buildings as I am with landscapes. So yeah, I mean, look how pretty that is. It was lovely. These were my favourite flowers. I just love these. I think they are dying, but look at them, aren't they exquisite? Wow, I just love the colour on there. Absolutely stunning. And you can see how empty everything is. There's just nobody anywhere. It was so strange. So strange. Well, that's quite an interesting spiky plant. I would like to learn I would like to learn more about plants because I really haven't got much of a clue, not even with trees. I need to start on trees, I think, and work my way backwards to flowers. When we stumbled upon these enormous pieces of tree and these enormous roots, I just assumed these pieces were local trees. But apparently they've been transported 3,000 miles from Ghana. They're from tropical rainforests. One of them is 300 years old. One piece is 19 tons. look at the size of them. You can see next to the bench, they're absolutely enormous. I stood next to one and it was several feet taller than me. Well, since we came back to Wales, we've seen some pretty spectacular statues and sculptures, but this is right up there. This is called Welsh Black Bull, and it's by someone called Sally Matthews. Look at the detail on there. Wow, I love it. It's absolutely spectacular. I sort of stopped and looked at this for ages while everyone else wandered off. Very lifelike, don't you think? I caught up with the rest of them close to one of the lakes. There's quite a lot of stretches of water here. Given the amount of drought we've had recently, it was actually quite nice to actually hear running water. Actually water running again. It seems a long time since we've heard that. There's certainly none in the waterfall near where we live in. Anyway, thank you for listening. It was a lovely day and I can highly recommend a visit to the National Botanic Garden of Wales.